Okay, I'm gonna open tonight's hearing for the Granby Conservation Commission at 7 p.m. on January 11th, 2022. So we'll start with building and Board of Health applications. Is there anyone in Town Hall at the library?
Yes, Wenda. Wenda. There she is. Hi, Wenda.
And the gentleman we did the site visit to, that had the multiple discharges into that intermittent swale.
On East Street?
East Street, yes, he's here.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Morissette?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Ray.
He said that Jackson was talking to somebody on the committee.
I think I talked to Neil.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Neil called me about 2 or 3 weeks ago about that. And I guess he's going to be the lead person on the permit acquisition for that project. And again, I think it's going to need some sort of replication, at least for a bank and some land underwater. I don't know, again, it's to be determined if there's any BVW that needs to be replicated. But again, I think they can get that permitted in fairly short order.
How do we note that, Bill? Is there anything to note here?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, where did we leave it? Dave, your memory is probably better than mine. Where did we leave it on site with Mr. Morissette a couple of weeks ago?
I have to dig. dig into it.
I remember that one. We have to wait till they file an NOI.
Okay.
So that's basically until they come to us with a permit, we can't do anything.
Well, we didn't say that at the site, Amanda. At the site, we identified a number of things we noted and asked Mr. Morissette to attend tonight's meeting.
Okay.
We left it.
Oh.
So if we're directing him to do a notice of intent, then I think we need to formally say that and enter it that way in the notes.
Yeah, I thought that was what we had discussed in the field.
Nope, that's not what. Well, you may have discussed it, but we didn't identify it that way here. So
We had to cut that at the meeting.
yep.
But we weren't reviewing a hearing or anything. We were looking to see if there was resource area and kind of what he was going to have to do.
Right. Ray, do you understand what we're saying?
Yeah. I need to submit something.
Yeah. Tell Mr. Jackson to prepare a wetlands notice of intent, Form 3, with all the pertinent information, and again, in accordance with the regulation, so that you can fill in your swale and recreate another swale on another non-wetland part of the property.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a problem because.
Okay.
He needs to prepare.
Okay, I'll take that one. NO1?
Yep.
Hang on a minute. I'm thinking maybe along Richard's property, which is facing the street, would be the right.
Well, again, it's up to you and your consultant to decide where you want to do the replication. But again, it's got to be in accordance with the code. And obviously it can't negatively affect your neighbor for obvious reasons. So,
but your consultant should make a whole plan. Like we kind of gave some ideas as to things to consider, but your consultant will know everything and help you make a plan.
Yeah, and he might want to piggyback that plan with the septic design too, Ray. So that way you can get your septic plan approved and your wetlands permit at essentially the same time, so that when Leo goes to do the work, he'll know exactly what to do on both ends.
There you go. That's good to me.
Yes, thanks for clarifying that, Bill. That was kind of what I meant when I said that we needed a plan. I meant the entire, because the whole reason for the filling of that channel is because they have to connect the pipes to the new septic because there's health issues and the septic failure. So it's all stuff that's going to be permittable because you're just replacing a septic.
Yeah.
It just has to be presented and meet all the standards. But it gets some grandfathering in and some exemption, like
Yeah,
some special leeway because of the situation.
yeah, exactly. These houses, like we already said, are there, so, you know, I need
Yeah.
to be able to make them function. What's going on? All right.
Okay, so again, if there's any questions on Neil's behalf, he can call any of the commissioners and
Okay,
we can give him a
number-
little guidance. But again, the sooner he gets this permit in, the better, okay?
Who
Yeah.
should he, call? He wants a phone number.
Well, you can call any of us.
I don't have,
He needs a number, phone number. Whose
You
phone
can
number?
You can call my office number, 467-3141 at my office.
467-3141.
3141?
Yep.
Got them? Okay, yeah. All right, and his name is what?
Bill.
Bill? Okay.
Okay, anyone else on the commission have any guidance for Ray?
No, it
Okay,
seems,
I guess that's it. So we'll carry forth, Ray. Thank you for coming in to the meeting this evening. Thank you so much.
Yep,
And you-
thank you.
something done so I can get these septics straightened out before they start giving me a prop.
Right.
They've been here for a long time and, they need to be redone.
Yes.
And I might as well take care of that at the same time, so they can do everything one shot.
Yep.
All right, same, you have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
Does that mean there's no one else, Wenda, for any other building permits?
Nobody else here.
Okay. So we have a couple minutes until the discussion about 51 Forge Pond Road. Unless, do we have to wait till 7:15 for this one? Since it's just a discussion?
Yeah, that's Sasha, correct?
Right.
Yes, I
Yeah,
believe
I
so.
don't think she's applying for a permit tonight, so this is just general discussion. I think we can probably go forward with that at this time.
Okay, so yeah, let's get that started.
Hello?
Hello. So I guess our main questions are about, requirements for cleaning the site. And then what our options are for rebuilding on the site. Do you have like a set of regulations for cleaning a burnt house?
That probably falls under the purview of the health department, I would think, and the building department. However, if you intend on rebuilding the house, and in particular, changing the footprint of the foundation, that is, if you want to modify the layout of the building, I'm guessing you'll be within 100 feet of the edge of the water. Sasha, right now, how far is the house approximately to the edge of the water at the pond?
So it's, Richard and Nick.
Yeah,
It's
it's very close. Within
Oh, there it
fence.
is. Thank you, Amanda.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. Wow, you're right on the pond then. Oh, you're on a peninsula. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Extremely cool.
So you really need to stay within the footprint as much as possible. I think that will make it a lot easier to permit.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah, this is definitely a tight spot to build a house. I don't know if this would be a buildable lot nowadays.
Yeah.
Joe, this is Ed Chapline talking. Generally speaking, when you have a fire like this and it's a non-complying lot with zoning issues, typically the building inspector, you have at least 1 year to at least get the building started and completed. So you're going to be on a fast track to get this done. I would suggest talk to the building inspector to
Okay.
get this started. That and your insurance company, because you need to act fast because you don't want to lose any grandfathering that you have right now for zoning.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
wetlands will work out the wetlands as best we can. Not like Amanda said, same footprint. It shouldn't be an issue. Not at all.
And as far as the same footprint, I understand it can be closer to the water, obviously. Can it be further from the water, or it has to stay exactly where it is?
Further is always good. It's more, you can't like double the size of the house.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like you can't like
Yeah.
expand
Yeah.
extravagantly.
She could just go up with a second story.
Oh, true.
Right.
But yeah, moving away from the wetland is always preferred.
And if, say we can't double, but can it go like 5 feet bigger in any direction?
I think we can entertain that. I have a question. Do you only own the parcel that the house is on, or do you own the parcel to the south as well?
Which?
Yeah, that one that you have the cursor on, Amanda, that parcel.
That's the driveway. We don't own that. Yeah.
Oh, you don't? Oh, so you have an easement or a right of way then? Okay.
Mhm.
So where's your septic system located?
It's, well, I can show you where
Sorry,
it is.
one sec. Trying to get back.
It's where,
This side?
yes, it's there a little around there. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a holding tank, a tight tank?
Do you know what kind of thing? Yeah.
Keeps doing that.
Yeah, tanks and the leach field.
Well, you have a regular leach field then.
Yes.
Okay. I'm guessing the health department will probably have you put some advanced treatment system in, but again, that's Board of Health type stuff. Okay. Listen, my opinion, again, I'm only one of 7. I'm only 14.3% of the vote here. But if you want to make a small expansion and you have a good way of doing it from an environmental perspective, I think we can consider that. Okay. But again, my thought is if you want to expand the house, the best bet is to go up with a second story. That would be most efficient, actually. Okay.
Right.
And is it both structures that burned down?
No, the garage,
That one's still there.
the garage suffered a fire 4 years ago. Yeah. And it's kind of in repair. The first floor of it is fine. We actually kind of, we did a lot of work with it. And so, do we have a question about that?
No, unless we want to attach garage to the main house with a gallery.
Yeah, would we be able to attach the garage to the house?
I think that's within possibility. Yes, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you do have a lot of options and the grandfathering exemptions.
Yes.
If you meet those timelines with the planning, zoning rules on
Can I
our
ask-
end.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
When was the fire?
The house fire was on the
house-
28th.
The house fire, when was that?
On the 28th of December.
Oh, all right.
It was probably the most recent fire in
The
Granby.
same day.
Yep.
Well,
And then, so as far as, rebuilding on the same site, we have a well there and the septic, do those usually have to be replaced after a fire, or is that also Board of Health?
that's Board of Health. That's Board of Health. Yeah.
And once the site, so for cleaning the site, do we need to do any kind of like decontamination or like deactivation?
I think you're going to get a demolition permit from the building department. You go see Greg Briggs, apply for a demolition permit, and then they're probably going to want to see where the material is to be transported to a licensed disposal facility.
Do we need a silt fence or wattles?
I think we need to issue an RDA or a DOA for the demolition part.
They
That's
could,
all buffer.
yeah. Yeah, the objective
And
is
that would cover the erosion
you don't want to
controls.
get debris in the water. You don't want debris going into the pond.
Mm-hmm.
But like Wenda says, wattles or silt fence or some sort of silt mitigation structure would be fine. Of course, you'd put it right on the water's edge because there's not a hell of a lot of working room there.
Right.
You'd hire, now, have you hired a cleanup? You have a fire cleanup contractor involved at this point?
Not yet.
Okay, and you're working with your insurance company closely, I would trust.
Yeah, the house is not insured.
Oh, it's
So
not
we're-
insured?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Sorry. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Okay, do we have
All right. Well, again, we'll work with you as best we can, but I'm so sad of that loss. That's terrible.
Yes, for the Board of Health. as well.
It's probably.
Board of-
But again, keep in contact with Mr. Briggs because as Ed pointed out, a lot of towns have a 1-year moratorium for a rebuild on a non-compliant lot. Some towns I see go up to 3 years, but make sure that you're on the same page with Mr. Briggs as to your timelines for the work, okay?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any other comments on our end?
Do we want to have them, like, send them the RDA information so they can just send that in for our next meeting?
Yeah, why don't you could you do that, Amanda? Just send it to Sasha?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
It's a free application. It's kind of like the easiest application we have. The NOI will be a lot more complicated for the actual development part, but at least this will get you in with the cleanup phase
Okay,
and the
Great.
demolition permit with Mr. Briggs. So I think that will cover you in all those areas.
Just a note on the demolition, be careful with the foundation. Talk to the building inspector to make sure if you lose that foundation, you might be an issue. There might be a problem with the grandfathering. So
Okay.
try to leave the foundation in place
okay,
until you have your permits in hand. Because once that foundation's gone, you may lose all grandfathering.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So, what happens if we lose,
What happens if we lose the grandfathering?
You won't be able to build on that site.
Non-conforming lot, unbuildable at that point. Again, that building inspector is your source of your source right now.
Yeah, stay in constant contact with Mr. Briggs. He's the most important person for this project.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
All right. Again, sorry for your loss and we'll do the best we can, Sasha. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Bye. Okay, Amanda, next one.
All right. So we have 10 minutes before our appointments and public hearings, so I'll go over to the commentary. Dumping
Yeah, and
leaves in wetlands. Oh,
I
Wanda?
have things I have to deal with too.
You what?
I have a certificate of compliance that we were supposed to issue in June of 2020 that never got done, and we got a lawyer letter, so we need to not forget this.
I think we need to do a site visit for that, though. Did anyone go to that site?
I don't
What's the
know.
address,
That's-
please?
That's the old
193 Amherst.
It's 193 Amherst Street.
Yeah, we approved it.
Basically, the road wraps around the wetland and the house is in the back.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I really think we should.
We approved it, and they have a copy of our agenda where we approved it.
Yeah, we did. That's the old Keysor Farm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been there at least twice.
Correct.
I haven't been there, so that's why I just wanted to make sure
No,
someone.
No,
I've been there.
Janice. Yeah, Janice and myself. And Janice, who was with us there that day?
I'm not sure we were at that one.
No, Janice wasn't even on board at that point, Bill.
That's correct. That was a septic system right up against the pond.
2020.
Yeah, no.
Right.
That's the one Al Weiss designed the leach field, correct?
No, well, I don't think that's the one. I think it's the one that maybe I've been seeing right next to the pond where they were working on the driveway recently off of Amherst Street and the house is set back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the erosion controls and everything are still up.
Yeah, that was Quentinville, Adam Quentinville's daughter's house, I think.
Yeah, but that's the wrong property, Bill. That's 201. This is 193. It's a different property on the other side of the street.
Oh, okay.
So,
I sent
and
an
there's-
email with a map.
yeah. And I don't know, Janice, if you saw, there's actually 2 DEP file numbers, so I'm assuming that's a
No.
mistake.
Oh,
So you have the notice of intent with a 165-339, and then the Form 8B is a 165-0306. Now, the 0306 is a typed number, and the 339 is handwritten. It's got a date of July 24, 20 on it.
Yeah.
Can you put the paperwork on the computer here? Can you share the paperwork with us right now?
I'm trying to get it up right now.
Okay, thank you.
Janice sent it around earlier today.
Okay, I can tell you, it's dated July 24th, 2012, 1650306.
Okay, that's the correct one.
let's see.
At least that's what they put on the certificate of compliance for us to sign.
I think that makes it a lot older, but I'm gonna check my records. here.
Janice, when did you send it? I got so many emails here. I got about 100 emails.
I got it today. I sent it today, part of the massive, but 1-by-1 thing, and it was later in the day, afternoon sometimes.
Okay. I've got
it says
AJ
King.
Otto. I got
No.
Grimaldi.
King request for certificate of compliance, 165-339, 193 Amherst Street, some combination of that wording.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I have the location on the map. Let me share my screen.
Oh, I got it right here. Attorney Kemp, a lawyer named
Yes.
Kemp. I got it. Okay, I'm looking at it now.
That's the right one.
Yep, I got you. Thank
Okay.
you. Let's take
I
a
also
peek
brought up the
here.
location.
Yeah.
I
Where's-
never made it out to the site. That's why I'm concerned.
Yeah. There you go.
They said we approved it. What he showed, it just says RCOC at 193 Amherst Street. We don't have anything written there that we approved it, but he says we did.
Was that known as Bowman at one time?
I don't know.
I don't remember this at all.
The applicant was Timothy Healy of Healy Construction.
Oh, okay, that was
Yeah.
Tim Healy's house then. That's
They
Tim
were
Healy.
going to build it. The property owner was Brian and Jennifer King from South Hadley.
Oh, see, my understanding was Tim Healy was supposed to live there himself.
Well, his name is on Form 3 of the NOI as the applicant.
Okay. This is the one, Ward Smith did the wetland
Yes.
permitting. And
Exactly.
it had a long winding driveway and it had all
Right.
kind of rock outcropping. I think Wenda went to this site actually.
It's got a huge driveway.
Yeah, I haven't been to, but I understand
Oh,
Wenda.
right, this is right next to that bog.
Yes, the
Yep.
Yeah,
wetland.
and all those vernal pools.
It's behind the bog.
Yes.
Could everybody hold on for a second?
Yep.
193 Amherst is the old farm with the huge barn on it.
Yeah.
That's located. This other guy with the long driveway doesn't have an address of 193. 193 is the old farm.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not Healy's project then?
Well, I think it's all the same person. They all the developer. If you pan to the north,
They
pan
didn't
north.
subdivide it, in other words.
There
Ed,
you
is that
go.
what you're saying?
Yeah,
That's
no, I remember that, but that's the plan that we were sent.
193 is the farmhouse. If that's what they're assigning 193 to, that's wrong.
193 farmhouse, that septic was repaired about 10 years ago on that property.
Yeah,
Correct.
Leo
This
Fugler did
is
it.
a new project though, Bill. It's not the same. It's not the house project.
Yeah,
One
What
sec,
is
I'm looking
the-
up the parcel
if
ID
it's-
number.
Dave, if it's south of the farmhouse, that's Tim Healy's project, and I actually recused myself on that because I have a business relationship with Tim. So that's why I didn't go out there originally. So the question is, I don't know if that is that particular project. You see my cursor? Can you see my cursor?
No.
Yeah,
Can-
I
can
think
you-
they're confused.
I think so too.
Oh, great.
If you remember the Quentinville property, Bill 201 Amherst
Yeah.
Street, they used that 193 initially because you're right, as Ed's pointing out, the farmhouse with the barn is 193. It sits on a larger
that was the
larger
master
piece of
parcel.
property,
That's right.
and then they subdivided off, and Quenville became 201, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is behind the bog, as Wenda correctly points out. It may not have a number yet.
Could I
Yes,
say
I think
that
that's correct. But the parcel ID matches.
for the barn?
I suggest, well, who's
No.
our contact? Is our contact person the realtor or the homeowner or the lawyer at this point?
Lawyer, I think.
I think it's the lawyer.
You know what we got to do? We got to go out there with the lawyer and walk the site.
Yeah.
Attorney Kim.
To make sure where he's looking for the compliance, which property.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
don't even know if the other one was built behind the bog yet. Has that been built?
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Well, the road has been worked on for a long time. I assume the house back there is built.
Yeah.
the
This
drive.
has been going on for over a year.
Can you blow up that plan,
This is
that black and white plan, please?
It's very
It's
blurry.
very,
Yeah.
very
So the more I
green.
blow it up,
But
the worse
go
it
to the
looks.
title block, see who's involved. Who stamped the drawing?
I don't know if you can read that, but I can't. It's all
Yeah,
fuggy,
yeah, just
like
scroll over.
blurry.
And who's the consultant?
I can't read any of this.
Well,
Well,
what the
let's
hell good
see.
is it then?
It was
Maybe.
Timothy Healy. That's the applicant listed on
Okay,
that
so
plan.
that is Tim Healy's house. That Ward Smith did
Yeah.
the wetland permitting on that.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's the
Right.
reason I recused myself, because Tim and I have a business relationship. Yeah, that's the long, sinuous driveway. That's exactly the right one. And Wenda's been out there at least. Remember, Wenda, you had them add some wattles, a second line of wattles at some point?
Yeah. I didn't go make it out to the building after it was built.
Okay, but we didn't do a final COC review. So we actually have to go out there. So that'll be a Saturday morning project for the commission then.
Yeah, and I really don't see on this agenda where we approved it. It just says it was on the agenda. It doesn't say we approved it.
No, we issued the order of conditions, but we did not approve the COC.
It says RCOC at 193 Amherst
Yeah,
Street.
they were requesting a
Yeah, on the letter from her. Right here. But we were discussing the other property. I'm like 95% sure we looked at the wrong property when we discussed this RCOC.
Okay. Well, I think we ought to do
I don't
this.
think we
This
ever
will be a
received
Saturday
an
morning
as-built.
project.
I added the 193 to the front of that in pencil based on the lawyer's cover letter. And then, like you said, on the certificate of compliance, which is to Brian King, 193 Amherst Street, et cetera, that says the 306 number, but 306 is way before 2020. So unless it's referring to a much older project,
Yeah,
That is-
I think the lawyer needs to clarify what the parcel ID number is because there's
Correct.
serious confusion with the property number.
Yeah, because this is 2012, which would be the old farmhouse.
Ed, could you go on
2012.
Mass Land Records, please, and trace the ownership of that parcel?
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay.
193 as of June 1st, 2020, looks like Jonathan Szymonic?
That's what's on here. John and Naomi Szymonic.
Hmm.
They purchased in June of 2020.
yeah,
From who?
Brian
Brian, I think.
King.
Probably Brian King because
Yep.
his name is
So,
on it.
so,
Uh,
so Tim Healy is not involved on this.
I don't think so. I think they got the wrong one. And
Okay,
then-
there you go. There you go.
Also, what is this about? Can you guys see this?
Yeah, that's the
What's
Do we
$200
charge
check for the
$200?
COC. Yeah.
I
When,
think
since
they did.
we don't
I
charge,
remember looking in that folder in Kathy's office and wondering what happened because I didn't see a signed certificate of compliance. It's on my list of many things to figure out. But they
Actually,
had,
that
that.
tells a tale because if they're paying 200 for the COC, that means it's outside of the 3-year window.
hmm,
Yeah, right. That septic's pretty old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to have to do a walk around, or at least we got to go out there physically at some point.
We just need to know which one it is we're walking around.
Yeah. But like you say, a 306 is a fairly old
yeah.
order.
Well, that says July 2012 on it, so
Oh, okay.
that's clearly typed.
2012?
Okay, that's what it must be. I bet you.
2012, July 24.
Where does it say that? Which page is
Right.
that?
Right
It's
on
on
page one. Right on page one of the first page.
Here I go.
what?
I got it right here at the Registry of Deeds on, looks like we got an order of conditions on July 26, 2012 in book 10988, page 98. And that refers to, gotta zoom in. Mass DEP number 165-0306.
That's
Okay,
it. Does it have the plan set there, Ed? Can you look at the plan set?
They never record the plan set with these for some reason, but let me see if it's sites. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, this is, I think this is why I was
Okay.
confused.
This is like a Sherlock Holmes case.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah,
encroaching.
we don't reference the plan, but I do remember that. I remember going out there when it was a septic system on the north side of the house.
That's right. That's right. And we're concerned because it was near a little intermittent stream.
Correct. Yeah, that's the barn. It's the house. It's not Healy.
Okay,
No,
so
you're right. It's just the information that I was looking at was wrong.
So that plan they gave us, that big plan, is the wrong plan.
Well, that's something
Well, I
that
think,
Amanda pulled up.
Janice dig that up?
I got it with,
That's not the right
it
plan.
came with that notice of intent.
Yeah, but that's incorrect.
Oh, these are two separate filings though. See, the numbers are different. This is 339. The letter
I
from the lawyer is 306.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing. Did you guys write that number down?
So that's
The
why
deed
everything is so confusing right now.
But the
Yeah,
address,
306 is from 2012. 339 must be the Tim Healy project.
Yes.
yes, it
So I
is.
think the attorney
That-
probably,
And does not go with this NOI, certificate of compliance.
right. So we
Yeah,
need to,
that's what
like,
we're saying.
we need to do a site visit, like Amanda said, Amanda and Wenda said. I
So
don't think we've ever done a site visit on that.
If we're signing off on the farmhouse, I inspected that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what's being requested. We need to clarify with this lawyer, but she filled out the form for us. That's what this is. She wrote a letter, she attached the old agenda, and then she drafted a COC for us to sign.
So she did the
That's what this
Form
is.
8B. She
Oh,
did
so
the
that's-
8B.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I don't even know if we got a
That's
request.
poor. That's piss poor. That's
I don't-
poor.
That's
I
what
don't
it
know if
says
she
right
did
in
that.
here. She wants to just she's like, why is this not resolved? We've been waiting and we're not getting what we need.
Mhm.
And so
That's
she's like, I
baloney.
have drafted it for you. Please review and sign it.
But we can't sign something that's wrong.
Okay.
Right. That's right.
Well,
Okay.
right now there's crazy confusion.
My confusion
We
was
need
that
to
it's
just know.
Amherst Street and it's Brian King on both those different orders. That's why I was
Yeah,
confused.
this is just Granby.
Hold
I think
on.
the problem is 193 is the original farmhouse and barn. And
Yeah.
they
Okay.
subdivided a new piece of property which has not been subdivided yet, or that will not have a 193 number to it when it finally does get assigned. So the map of the new house and driveway, that drawing does not have an address on it. So, but it is on the current parcel of 193. When you look at the zoning maps and such that show that, it's all one parcel.
Yeah, that's Kizier. That's the old Kizier farm, which has been,
Your farm.
So
That's
would
right.
this be a partial? Would this be a partial then?
No, it'd be a full.
Okay.
I think it needs to be a full site.
Correct.
yeah, in those Mass GIS
And that's why we use
maps
the
are
parcel IDs.
a couple of years old.
So which do you think she's asking about? If it's 306, it's from, and that's what it says on there, it's 2012, so that's a long time ago. But the cover letter was talking about, June of 2020.
Because
Unless
that was when they requested it.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
My guess is they fixed the leach field in the farmhouse. They didn't need the COC because they hadn't conveyed it. And at the last minute, they went through the conveyance procedure and the lawyer says, oh, we got an outstanding NOI, OOC. We got to get this clarified. And that's where we stand today. They're selling the farm.
Yeah. And then it was COVID year, so I'm sure we just didn't get the thing signed.
That's right.
I just think that we need to make sure we talk to the lawyer and make sure that that is the situation.
Yeah.
And it is
okay.
that 2012 permit, not some other
It has-
permit.
Janice,
I
do
mean,
you want to call?
I'm fairly certain you're right, but I want to, before we
Yeah.
sign something, we should
Yeah.
make sure
Janice,
we're
do you want to
signing
call her on the
correct
telephone tomorrow?
Okay, I'll try. Yeah, and
Okay.
I'll look this all over again tonight too.
Clarify whether it's 2000, the old farmhouse and the
Yeah.
leach field.
Okay,
Yeah. And if there's a problem, she can call me. That'll be fine.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll have to find out if we really got this check too.
Well,
Kathy
that's
should
another
have-
good point. That's why anytime we get a check, supposedly get a check, you should always get the check number.
I think
Because
Kathy
you can
can
always
correct
say, oh
that.
yeah, the check's in the mail, but yeah, what's the check number that's in the mail? There you go, right there, Tim Healy.
Oh yeah, I know. Also, if you look here, because it was all one parcel, it was
Yeah.
subdivided. So they were all 2B3. That
There we
first
go.
permit that she's looking for, I think, is 2B3.
That's correct. And that's the only one that's assigned.
2B3, 1 and 2.
Yeah, and some of the Kizior, the family that inherited the parcels, I think they live in California now. So they're not around here. They've called me on the telephone a couple of times in the past couple of years.
Oh, this is actually kind of weird because it looks like the other project in question is the one that's 2B3, 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's Tim
I don't know
Healy's
if you can
house.
see where I'm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one
so
that's
this-
orange. The orange parcel's
Yeah.
Tim Healy's, I believe.
The whole thing? But
Okay,
it's not-
and that,
Yeah,
that's that one. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one again. Let's just close out of that.
It's a little confusing.
We are looking for, yeah.
Slightly.
Okay, so here it is. It's just 2B3 because it was so old. It was before the subdivision. That
But
makes
is that-
sense.
is that now divided or is it still its own separate parcel?
Well, I don't know how the lawyer's going to have to fix this because it should be linked now to all of those parcels.
Uh-huh,
Because when they were subdivided, it should have stayed linked to all of them.
yeah,
But oftentimes things get all messed up. The registry is not a great way to track these things because historically everything's been done differently. It gets very confusing. I get a lot of headaches from this. So whenever I have to do these, oftentimes I have to go through and I have to write out all of the new ID numbers or all of the old ID numbers, just so that there's a record on every
They changed the numbers.
new
on it?
iteration. Yeah, every time they subdivide things, they have to change numbers.
Oh,
But it shouldn't change on an existing parcel, should it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
Because if a parcel is a big parcel and they split it into 18 pieces, and then they redo all of their maps for the whole city because it's a large area like Framingham, sometimes the numbers change drastically.
Wow.
So it's
I
this
thought it
one
was just like
because
add
it's
A,
small.
B, C, D or something. Okay, well,
No,
that's,
they add 1, 2, 3. I think they'll add
yeah,
2 or 3 digits sometimes onto the
yeah.
end. But in bigger cities where that's already been done, they have to go back and redo the whole thing.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
And so the numbers change completely.
I can't imagine. Oh,
And sometimes they change systems a couple times because Framingham, I had a project with a subdivision and it changed 3 times between when the parcel was originally permitted as a golf course and then when it was developed for residential and then the new permits, the new ID system they just came out with. So I had to go through and track all of those numbers.
If
And like,
Also, it
it's a
doesn't,
nightmare.
if I could maybe Wenda's going to say it. It's 7:41 now, and we've got people in the room for
Yeah, let's get
7:30
cracking.
public
Let's get
hearing.
cracking. We got other things to do.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks.
thank you,
I
Wendy.
guess, Janice, you're going to reach out to Amanda,
Yes.
the lawyer, and
Yep,
clarify
Yeah,
as much as you can.
yeah,
And yeah, we'll go from there.
yep.
Okay, great. Next item on our agenda is, or the first item for appointments and public hearings is the ANRAD, filed by Triad Alpha Partners LLC to see whether work and boundaries of resource areas depicted on the plans and or maps referenced are accurately delineated with regards to property located on New Ludlow Road and known as map 5D1 and D11 in the town of Granby. And we have received the scope for the peer review, and I believe our consultant or the representative is here.
Yeah,
Someone
Chase.
see them?
Hello.
There we go.
Hi,
Small
Chase.
technical
How are you?
difficulties. There we go. Good. How you doing?
Very well.
Yes, we received the scope from LEC. We forwarded the signed contract back to Janice this afternoon. So
Oh,
I
wonderful.
think we're good to go. So I think the only thing we need you guys to do is approve the peer review. Oh, and I need the information for the 53G so we can get that money in that account to
Right.
put boots on the ground.
Yeah. What I will do then is I will craft my boilerplate letter to the town treasurer. I'll copy you and the commission on it, and that will allow the monies to go into the 53G account on behalf of the town treasurer. So that'll work out fine. Very good. Thank you.
So should he send the check then to Kathy? Is that correct?
Yes.
Kathy Leonard?
Yes.
And then also maybe could we have a copy with an original signature when you're sending the check, just so that we have more than just the electronic, if that's possible, or someone signing for them? If you could just send something along that line or initial it or something.
You mean they send like a digital copy of the check itself?
No, just like just like a paper copy of the signature page of the proposal, the signed proposal, just so that
Oh,
we
the
have,
agreement.
electronic, but we also have something initialed personally somehow.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then were we going to talk any more about this? I would assume about, we don't know yet what's going to happen with timing with the weather, basically being the most important thing to worry about.
I had, before we leave this topic, Janice, remind me, Robin Mullen called me this afternoon about the enforcement order that was from several years ago, and we have to kind of get that ironed out. I'm pretty sure we closed that, but we got to find the attached paperwork for that.
I can try going down to the office tomorrow and looking through the files. You think it was about 5 years ago, something like that?
I think it was about 5 years ago. Yeah, what I recall, Kevin Brooks was involved. Robin had leased or rented some land to another party, a fellow named Trombley, and he was in there burning brush and cutting debris within 100 foot of a resource area. So the commission went in, issued an enforcement. I think there was a remedy that was proposed. I think the remedy was executed, but I don't know if the final sign-off paperwork was finally issued. So we got to find that.
Is there final, I mean, I haven't, usually when we do an enforcement order, there is a deadline and then there isn't any real sign off. Do you guys do an official sign off somehow to keep that paper trail going? That would make sense.
We've been trying to do that. We've been trying to do that on a few recent projects.
So what do? Do you just announce it during the meeting, or do you give some paperwork to Kathy, or what do you do?
I think what
There
we
isn't
did
a
on the,
process currently, really.
yeah, on the 53 Porter Street project, that was the one with the dewatering of the swimming pool. They were ejecting sand into a wetland. I think we issued a very simple 2 or 3 sentence letter saying, by this letter, you are now hereby relieved of the enforcement order. End of discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Real
true. I
simple.
remember that.
Yeah, because if we don't do that, it's always open-ended. We don't know if these things are finally been
Yes.
closed out. So we have to issue some sort of final document to at least memorialize that.
Yes.
Okay. So it's possible that maybe Kathy might have something in her files, or was this
It's
before?
possible, but I got a feeling in that time frame, we may not have issued that. So that's what's
Okay.
making this even more problematic.
Was Casey on
Yes.
then? Okay.
Yeah, Casey was
Okay.
on site at that time. Yes.
Okay. Good. So there might be something in the files then.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But again, I can't see that holding anything up at all in this project.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Are there any
So
other?
To continue to next meeting in February.
That's what I
so
would move. I would move. So is that good with you, Chase?
Yes,
Does
we're
your
good with that.
colleague, does John Miller want to say anything?
Sure, we're happy to accommodate that request to come to the meeting in February.
Okay, Jonathan. Okay. All right. So when's our next meeting date? It is February
February
8th. It's the 8th. Okay.
yep.
Good. Okay. Fair enough.
And did we need to vote to approve the peer review scope and stuff, or have we verbally confirmed it and that's enough?
Yeah, I don't think we have to vote on that.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll be waiting for the check, and Bill will issue that letter to the treasurer, or maybe let them know in advance that it's coming or something. I'll
Yes.
let LEC know that it's been signed. I can send them the digital signed copy so that they can start preparing. And then once the money is received, it's really a case of whenever they can get out there weather-wise, what the weather permits. We have the soils or ground.
Yeah.
Just one other thing, just to clarify, do you
Sure.
mind, to kind of expedite things? Do you mind if we kind of, once everything's in order, to reach out to LEC to kind of figure out
Yep.
things on our own, or schedule, and just if they have any changes, to go ahead and make those before we submit anything, just to kind of expedite stuff, so we're not, submitting changes and you guys looking at them and then submit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just make sure, Chase, any email correspondence, and hopefully you'll do this through email, copy Janice and the commission on all correspondence, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
Wonderful. Good.
Great, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you folks.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye. Yeah, bye. Okay, we got that down, Amanda.
Yep. Next item, this is the NOI continued number 165. Why is this? Okay. 165-0340 filed by Nathan Booten for proposed driveway culvert with regard to property located on Central Street and known as map 8A10 in the town of Granby. And is someone here for that project tonight?
I don't see them. I did get an email this afternoon from his consultant, Mr. Friedrich, and he said that he had not heard back from Mr. Booten, sorry, about about coming to the meeting tonight, and that he had emailed him and suggested that he be at the meeting. So we can keep an eye out in case he comes in later or something. But he had said that he would update us because I had sent an email asking, do you want to continue this or do you want to just let it die? You know, should we just close this out and cancel the notice of intent?
Yeah.
But it's going to cost you more money if you still want to go forward to start over. So it's still sort of in limbo. Maybe we're getting closer to communication and a decision. No.
Okay. Did the consultant say he was coming to give an update, or
No, he's
Putin was
not
supposed to?
directly involved, but he's trying to help us, you know, just make the
Oh,
con-
okay. So yeah, if I knew that, I would have assumed he wasn't going to show up.
Well, he said he would.
Yeah,
I'll contact him
I don't
again.
know.
You know,
So
I'm
you spoke to the
inclined to let this.
consultant or to Putin?
Booton is the one I'm going to recontact
Okay.
and ask him
But
why
you did actually speak to him?
I think there was, trying to remember if there was an email from him or from him through the consultant. I don't remember now which way it
You
went.
know, how does the commission feel about letting this project wither away at this point, since it's been hanging out there for over a year now?
Well, plus, he's got it on the market to sell it for $185,000. So
Is this the one that's across from the fire pond?
This is the one on Center Street, the middle of Center Street, right adjacent to Muddy Brook.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, they were doing work. We did a cease and desist, and then they came to us with a permit, and then they said they wanted to build houses, and this has been a mess.
Yeah, Ed, what do you think?
I would either just tell the guy, you know, you've got to respond by the next meeting, whether you want to continue it formally by letter, or we're going to dismiss or make a decision to deny for lack of evidence or lack of information.
Yeah, action. So maybe Janice, maybe send Don, Frederick, and Booton a nastygram saying if they don't start moving forward on this, we're going to terminate the project.
Yeah, I'm not sure Mr. Friddick's that involved at this point, but I'll CC him on it. And I guess he could withdraw without prejudice and at least clear the deck that way.
Yeah,
So I'll tell
that's
him
what I was
that
thinking.
something needs to be done one way or the other.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, great. So next item is the gravel permits. I believe site visit was conducted this weekend.
Yep, it was. We had two. One was a very nice walk through a snow-covered gravel pit.
Yes.
It was a beautiful day. You guys missed a great time out in the snow.
Blue sky, beautiful snow, cold.
Yeah, I
Now,
couldn't see
Dave,
much
you had
of
a
any.
Dave, you had a comment on conducting these inspections in the snow. Why don't you share that with everybody?
Well, I'm a newbie here, as everybody knows, and as I'm learning about wetlands and all that, and types of grasses and soils and such, when you have a fresh powder of 4 to 6 inches of snow, it's a beautiful walk, but you couldn't see anything. And Janice, in fairness to you, you were looking at different things and asking, aren't those look like wetland grasses? And of course, his response was, no, those aren't. So it's hard to contest somebody and whether they are or whether they're not. I don't think we're doing anybody any favors by going out on a snowy day or even a snow-covered day. Now, Amanda, I'd be looking to your guidance. Some of you folks are experts in this. Is it viable to continue to do an inspection, a site visit, when you can't really see the soil? Or even the second one, we went over to Taylor Street and they were talking about a pond that's at an unusual height. Well, I know enough that when you have freeze-thaw cycles, water rises. It sits on top of ice and then it refreezes and it grows that way. So I don't know what I'm looking at when it's ice covered, when it's snow covered. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but I was talking to Bill about making a recommendation. If we have snow cover, should we be having site inspection? Should we be waiting for the snow to melt? So at least we can see the
So
ground.
with the gravel permits are kind of a special, their own thing. I never fully understood what the purpose was of them. I've not I kind of just learned on the job walking around, and it seems like the main goal is just to put eyes on the site each year and make sure that they have not started dumping into wetlands or other things. So that
Well,
was more my impression of how those ones work.
yeah, this particular site is obviously in Milwaukee. They have two different locations. One is on Lyon and one is on Carver. And the Lyon property extends into Ludlow, and half of the designated wetlands that shows up on the map actually is in Ludlow. So he asked if we
Yeah,
wanted
that one
to
tends to be a pretty quick one.
Yeah. And then he asked, do we want to go to see the Carver site? And Bill, those are the ones you're looking from the street down into the hole.
That's right.
And
Yep.
the wetland is in fact behind that site. And it was covered with snow, so I said no. So I didn't feel like going over there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've had years where we haven't gotten them done because of sometimes
Right.
communication issues with the owners. Sometimes it's just not having the time or the resources to get out there with commissioners. So we tend to kind of take whatever we can get.
Yeah.
And I think most of my site visits on these have been snow times.
right. He's a really nice
But
guy,
for
James
typical,
Starkey and stuff, so.
yeah.
And he had his paperwork filed, I think, last October, I think he told us, Janice. So,
Something like that, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. But
Maybe
yeah,
we
so
can,
I think I would worry about it less with those ones, but for other sites, it would be better if we could reschedule to less snow.
Right.
But like just keeping up with the gravel permits has been such a nightmare that in a perfect world, there wouldn't be snow. But
Right.
if we can only get one
Well-
day where we can finally get an appointment, take what you can get.
I found it interesting that we've got gravel permits in Granby. We have 3 now, and I've been to each one of them, gravel pit sites. Yet I don't know if we have anything in town for the blacktop plant that we have in town that literally sits on Stony Brook. It's right on the Ludlow Road. It's next to Ludlow, I think that's Fairview over there, Chicopee. And nobody's inspecting that. And that's hemmed in between the sanitary landfill and Stony Brook, the actual brook wetlands. And does anybody know about that? And that's
the
a
interesting
that's a
point,
large
Dave.
that's a large international owner that owns that property.
I know that. I know that. But you got to remember the gravel pits in town, they actually pay the selectmen or the town a small fee for the privilege of having a soil removal permit, aka a gravel permit. That Northeast Paving, who used to be Lane, that was Lane and Company.
Right.
They're not affiliated. They don't have any permit from the town for their operation. That's a private that was a private, it still is a private, actually, I think it might be a public corporation now. But again, they don't have a permit through the town, whereas the gravel pit guys all have permits through the town. And that's another reason that, and Ed, you brought this up, the old Lane pit at the top of 116 up at the notch up in Amherst or right in the Amherst line. That has a significant portion of that facility physically in Granby, yet we're not involved with that one either. So that's a good
Why
point.
is that?
So there's 2 lane facilities we never visited.
Oh,
So
it seems
again,
like the same person.
point well taken though, Dave.
Permit.
Yeah. Well,
I think some of them with the blacktop and the old landfill and all of that, those might be regulated differently as well. with DEP. And so
Yeah.
they might, I think their oversight is primarily a different, other than waters and wetlands, which is our purview.
Yeah,
And it's
Division of
probably only
Solid
new work
Waste.
where they come to
Yeah,
us.
solid waste regulates the landfill. Board of Health keeps an eye on the solid waste end of it. I don't know who regulates the asphalt plant. I have no clue. It might be the 21E, the waste site cleanup people. But
Well,
again,
they're way within the 100-foot line. The
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
wetland line.
that's existing. So the thing is, until they start doing something new, then they file. But like,
Right.
if they're doing their normal operations, that's all overseen by someone else.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
just,
a-
it's a
They
separate,
filed with us and we walked it when they wanted to put a gas line in out there.
that was the landfill.
Yeah, that
Oh, the
project never went through, but they did permit that. Yeah, David Haynes in Belchertown permitted that. Janice, in your other towns, have you come into this circumstance where you've had large industrial facilities that don't really get involved with the commission's stuff?
No, you think I would have in Hadley, but we didn't have any. And in South Hadley, we didn't really either. We just had, the landfill project, but that's all. No, they haven't come under the radar.
Okay. Good point though, Dave. That's
Yeah.
good thinking.
So overall, I think we could say that the site visit went okay, for the gravel pit. We didn't see any
Yeah.
obvious problems.
Nope.
So I assume you can sign off. You need a vote or something of the commission to
I
sign off.
passed around the summary. I don't know if anybody had any comments on it.
I reviewed quick, just so I'm up to speed, but it looks good to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, it didn't. I said there was no further action, so.
So
Other
I'll
than-
make a motion that we sign the gravel permit for 11 Lion.
I'll second it even though I went there. Dave will second.
All right. So all in
Any
favor?
discussion?
Aye.
Oh, yes.
Aye.
Sorry. Discussion first.
Yep, nope, none.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
Wenda, aye.
Aye.
All right. Great.
Good.
Next on our list is, do we need to set up the other one? The Carver
Whatever.
Street?
I don't think so. We
Should
could have done
schedule
it.
Carver
but
Street?
it-
Was that
I-
one done already this year?
No.
well, technically, we have to see all the sites because we did see
Yeah.
Naraki. We only looked at Naraki's Lion Street property.
Yeah, so we would sign off on the Lion Street permit. Isn't that how we usually do it, Bill?
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds like it's one permit though.
No,
No,
there's
each
three,
site.
there's three separate permits for Naraki, I believe. At one time, there was three.
Oh.
It gets down to two.
So we-
Logistically, if we had a drone would have been ideal for that second pit on Carver Street, Dave.
True, because even when we went there last year, we were like 100 feet up from the pit, looking down
Yes.
into it.
Oh, yes, yeah. And again,
we didn't walk into it.
yeah. The other problem is it could be slippery and we could end up breaking our leg out there. You got to be careful
Yeah.
out there.
Especially
what
when
do
it's
you-
covered with ice and snow.
Yeah,
Right,
so what do you
right.
want to do about that? We were sort of figuring on just letting it go, being it's so late in the year and the other one
We
was
told
open.
them.
I would recommend what Janice says. Let's just sign off on it.
Okay.
Unless there's something egregious, and I suspect there was nothing egregious out there.
He's not working the gravel pits right now, so everything is covered with snow.
Yeah,
So all his trucks were parked in a line and all snow covered.
mhm.
And
Do we need to send a letter to the one up at the Notch and say they need to apply for a gravel permit?
Well, I inquired of Kathy, and I think she talked to Christopher Martin about that, and everyone's been silent. So I don't think we should overstep our bounds.
Okay.
I think we should go through the proper channels, and that's Kathy. Janice, if you want to query Kathy about that again, but I think that's going to be a dead issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've actually completed, if you will, I think for the 2022, Naraki was the last gravel permit because Janice and I did Andrick and Oberg is the other one over off of Bachelor Street.
Greg Orland.
Orland, there you go.
Yes.
So
Wonderful.
the next ones would be for 2023, which we probably don't entertain until the fall of this year, correct?
Right. Well done, folks. Very, very good.
Good.
I have very limited battery life left, so I may have to leave.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
But
The rest of us, we still have things on our agenda.
Wenda, thank you for attending. Thank you for
Yes,
meeting with
thank you.
Mr. Morissette. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Before I leave, though, I think that auto body expansion planning board thing, we might want to look at those sites for wetlands.
Yeah.
AJ's Auto.
Kathy
Janice,
told
did
me,
you have something to report on that?
just I had tried to contact the Board of Health secretary and she wasn't in till tomorrow. But I had CC'd Kathy and Kathy replied to me that there is a small stream near there and that the planning board has a folder for the Concom about it. So I didn't know if there was anything on the table there, Wenda, that looks like it's for the Concom about AJ's.
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple.
Yeah, we got something, a letter from DEP.
Yeah, but then there was something supposedly from the planning board because the DEP one
Yeah.
didn't really mention the stream.
I don't know if you have a screen or not, but I have two here.
39 West Street,
I'm trying to find the address.
West State
on-
Street.
Here's the address. This is Hera. One is Hera for parking trucks and stuff. And the other one's AJ Auto Body. Is that the one right next to, the cycle shop that went out?
Yes.
I think the address is 39 West Street, West State
Yeah,
Street.
it's immediately west of All Power.
Yep.
Yes, okay. There's huge wetlands out there.
Well, behind the property there is.
I think it's the intermittent stream or something there. That's what, or is that a perennial stream? It's
I don't know. All I know is
Trying to
there's
pull it up.
there's either reed canary grass or phragmites out there that are visible from 202.
Right.
Yeah.
But remember, this project entails the filling in of vacant space within the building. They're not doing any exterior work at all on the property.
Okay.
What
That's-
property are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
39 West State Street, it's AJ's Auto Body.
Yes, but there's.
Okay, and what is the permit requesting? Yeah, the DEP letter is about pollution.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think what
So
happened.
what are you guys talking about right now?
Probably a different thing, Amanda.
Yeah, let me just explain. I think I understand what's going on here. The property was conveyed or is in the process of being conveyed. And when you convey a property in Mass, you have to do a 21E study. And they sunk some monitoring wells and found some nasties in the ground. So they got to remediate the nasties. And the new owner, I think, wants to do something with the building. So there's two things going on. One is to remediate the nasties. That's a letter Dave Slowick wrote from DEP. And I think the owner wants to do some cosmetic repairs inside of the building. Is that what you guys are saying?
I heard that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeff,
Where did you get that information?
bad things buried out there. Jeff witnessed buried things out there.
Yeah, well, let DEP deal with that. That's none of our business. And that's going to be the Board of Health and DEP.
So, all right.
So we're supposed to sign
Are we
off
going to go
on
back
it?
to our agenda? I feel like we've gotten way off track. And
No,
I
Please
still
do.
don't know what we're supposed to be reviewing for the planning board.
That's number 6. That's what these
No,
are.
I understand, but I don't have any plans from planning board. I don't have any
Oh.
plans to review.
I
Oh,
have
yeah.
really sketches.
You have sketches? Where did you get sketches?
I have the whole folder, or the whole plan. But I don't know if you guys,
Oh,
Yeah, Kathy.
yeah, we don't have digital
over
copies,
there.
I'm guessing.
No.
Okay.
See, that's the problem of not having, see that Kathy puts stuff in the building, and if we're remote, it's hard to get access to that stuff.
81 is our friend
Oh.
Trump. That's
Oh.
the
Okay. And
Both.
they already know they need
Oh,
to
yeah,
come to
that's,
us for an
that's,
NOI.
yeah, that's Wally Boy's old house, which is
Mhm.
now owned by Toth, the painter.
Yep.
right, and the house is gone.
Yes.
Yes, they had an RDA for the demolition. They need an NOI for the new development of the site.
Who, Toth? The 81 Pleasant?
81 Pleasant Street. Yes. That was what was discussed at the meeting and how we
Oh.
had permitted it.
Because they have a
We
foundation.
allowed they have to because they demolished the top of the house before they do earthwork and all of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
We said they needed to come to us because they weren't staying within the footprint of the house.
Oh,
They were
okay.
looking to do a lot more than that. And also
Right.
the wetland extends significantly farther onto the site than is mapped.
Okay.
This whole area, if you can see my mouse, that's all wetland. There's all these
Right.
blueberry bushes. It's like squish, 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 like this deep of like muck. It's just pure hydric soils.
Okay.
So they need an NOI for whatever, because they're looking to, it's going to be a way bigger footprint than what they currently have.
Okay.
Dave, do you remember what he was saying about the footprint? I thought it was going to be pretty similar, adding a
That's what
little
they tried
bit.
to tell us
No,
too. Yeah.
He has shared earlier drawings, and the house is actually quite small compared to the building he's putting there. So it sits on the house, but it also extends farther north along Pleasant Street than the house extends. So
Yeah.
think he's
So
putting
it's
in-
going to get closer to the property line,
I'll
He's
try
putting
and
to
they're going to be paving.
He's putting in a multi-bay, garage, one-story garage structure, it's like, I think it's a 3 or 4 bay garage.
yeah, it's primarily for storage of his, and he's got a small office in there.
That's right. That's for his
Small
painting
toilet.
business.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's basically for his painting company.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So we had met him on site. I don't remember who was there with me, but I know I met with him on site
Well, I
to
was there.
discuss all of
too.
that before. Okay. Well, I can't remember anymore. There's so much.
You're too young.
So what do you want to do about that? Because he's going to be working in the buffer zone, but how do you know it needs a notice of intent rather than just a request for determination?
Because it's where the house is going to be like right up to the edge of the wetland. They're going to be doing grading and all kinds of work. They really need an NOI.
Okay, because
Like I just said, the wetlands. Oh, I need to go back again.
he told us that the wetlands started approximately at the fence line in back, sort of near the edge of the wood.
Yeah, but he never had it delineated, and I told him that was not right.
Ah, okay.
He does not have a delineation. That's the problem. If he came to us with a delineation, that'd be a whole other story. But this delineation is not anywhere near accurate.
Oh,
So the
okay.
wetlands are in here. There's wetland all on the property that he wants to build.
Yeah. This is Ed talking. I'd have to agree with Amanda. That probably should be delineated just to be safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Amanda, can you do a Google Earth street view so we can actually look at it from ground level?
I can try. My computer doesn't really like Google.
It doesn't? Oh.
Well, it prefers Bing. It goes to
yeah.
Bing every time.
Yep.
And very frustrating.
Yeah,
I can't just use
That's
Google.
because
It won't let me get
Microsoft.
Google.
That's because Microsoft and Google hate each other. They're competitors.
Mm,
Ugh, so annoying.
I know. It tries to give me something other than Google's Maps. It tries
That's why
to
you
give me
got
something.
to not use Bing as your browser. You got to use
I don't
something
wanna.
else.
Yeah.
Also, I think you need to just pull up the RDA because I'm pretty sure that we wrote in the RDA that they needed an NOI to rebuild
Oh,
the
okay.
site. We said that it was for demolition only.
That's right. And he was supposed to come
81
back
Pleasant
to us.
Street, Granby, Mass.
Because he told us one thing before we went out in the field, and then when he started like showing us the drawings and like looking at the footprint and everything else he wanted to do, it was like you're doing way more than you're saying you are. So like he'll say one thing, but the reality is more, and he's not a wetland person, so he does not understand the
Okay.
significance of the work he's doing.
Do we have his preliminary architectural sketches for those buildings in our possession?
I think Wenda probably has the most recent, if she's
I
still
don't know.
there.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we could see those tonight. Okay, there we go. So now we can,
Okay.
let's do a virtual drive around. Okay, there we go.
So the house is going to be, it's going to be in the footprint of this, but also behind. This house
Yeah.
is actually on a mound. It's built up.
Yeah.
And this is a lower elevation. And then as you go over here, that drops down to an even lower elevation over there. So we
Yeah.
gave them an RDA to remove this by hand because that's likely
Yes.
in the wetland, which is why
Yeah.
it's all rotting. And then they could use machinery to demolish this. That was what the RDA was for.
Okay.
And then we said they had to come back because they were going to have parking in this area, maybe further over, actually. It looked like they might have said it was going to be closer over here. And that was when I was like, okay, you're getting really close to where this drop off into the wetland is.
Okay.
And so that was kind of why it's just, it's more complicated than the guy thinks it
Okay.
is.
Amanda, I have the site visit notes that you and I made on April 24th last year.
Oh, great.
And he talks about the new building, but more importantly, I wrote in the back, the suggestions that we made were to use the tree line behind the building as our BVW limit line, create a drawing of the proposed site improvements and submit via a notice of intent form 3, get on our GCC agenda for presentation and determination of next steps. Property has access to sanitary sewer and natural gas for septic, so no septic system is proposed. It probably used for stormwater detention basin for roof runoff and driveway runoff before it hits the wetlands. So that's what you were talking about. As you go north, it gets low. And when we were there in April, it was like walking on a sponge. It was very,
Yes.
very wet.
Yeah.
So I have those 4 items that we left him with.
Yeah.
But as you say, we've never seen him back. Janice and I went, let's see, I think we did go back after the building was torn down, didn't we, Janice?
Yes, we did. And that's when he said that he was using the forest line and back as the wetland boundary, and he wasn't going to get any closer to it.
Yeah, that's also the edge of the property.
Well,
Yes,
actually,
that's
the edge
So,
of-
and
That's
also,
right. That's right.
Close to-
That's right.
if that's the edge of wetland, the whole house is in the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Janice
he would have
and I
been
were there
adding
November.
impervious closer.
So Amanda, your opinion is that barn that he knocked out, that's wetland, that particular area?
Yeah,
I think it is either wetland or it is extremely close, but that entire like strip, you can kind of see the hillside right here. There's like a significant elevation drop.
Yeah.
And so this low level, I would 100% think is wetland. I saw hydric soils in there, and it, like Dave said, was like a sponge. Up on the mounded area, it's a little trickier. It's all old agricultural area, so they likely built this area up for the house and farmed all this wetland until they decided it wasn't worth it. And so I think I had been trying to help him out without being like, get a whole consultant. And I was like, if we just assume this hillside is around where the wetland starts, and you're staying within the footprint of your lot, and the tree line is maybe where the wetland starts on that side, give us a plan of everything and how it's going to lay out. And he only gave us like the house. I think he just showed, or the structure. He didn't include like the driveway or anything else.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think
I'll be
he-
back.
Yeah, he did have some kind of plan that he presented to the planning board a month or so ago that had some changes to it. I don't think I looked at it very carefully, but they had said something about that. So that's, maybe I can get a digital copy from Kathy or from the building inspector.
Yeah, it would be great if we had digital copies of everything.
Yeah.
I thought they would be doing that by now.
We have a lot. I mean, Kathy has a lot, but if it doesn't go through her, we don't necessarily get digital copies. Or sometimes
Yeah.
if it's planning board, we may not,
Okay.
Okay. So I'll try to get a digital copy of the latest plan that they're trying to get approved, which I think includes the new building, parking and everything.
Okay.
He's not going to be happy if he has to stop work in the middle of the winter because he can't find the wetland.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why he didn't listen.
Yeah.
No,
Sometimes people.
is it, when we meet with people, are we expecting them to take our verbal discussions as direction to act without a written?
Well,
because when you
if
what you just said, Amanda, it's easy for him to say, well, I didn't understand it that way, and now
well, then we just issue an enforcement. But
he can come
I mean,
back
it's easy.
at you and say, well, you told me one thing and now you're changing your tune.
That's why I try to keep records, and I'm pretty sure it was included in the RDA, specific language saying that he needed to file for any further development.
Okay.
I know it was clearly stated that it was only the demolition in the RDA, and that he had to come back to us. So
Okay.
if he
Well,
was
that
to do
is-
anything else, we issue an
Yeah.
enforcement order.
Yeah. Did
But
we
like
see an RDA?
originally, yeah, he got an RDA for the demolition.
So that was
Okay.
like April. I should look around
I
that
think
time.
so.
Okay. All right, see what I can find. Although I may not be, well, I'll ask Kathy because the senior center's closed. I think that might mean the town offices upstairs as well may be closed because of the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Was it closed for a couple of weeks, Janice?
I don't know how long. I just saw in the paper that it was closed because of the COVID cases.
All right.
Or at least they weren't doing any activities. They were shutting down all
Well, I
activities.
know I tried to reach Kathy today and she was not answering the phone. So,
No, her email says that she's out of the office and will return, your email
right.
when she's available or something like that. And she did respond to me once or twice today, so she's somewhat around.
Oh, all right. All right.
Email's probably better right now, like if that
Yep.
building's closed.
All right.
Okay.
So which one is this one then
Yeah.
that we're looking at?
So this is 8 West State Street. It
Oh,
looks like
okay.
it's within 100 feet of a wetland, an off-site wetland, with various potential and at least one certified vernal pool.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this area might be worth, I mean, I don't know who owns this, so I don't know if we can actually
Oh,
go onto this lot. But
That's Ed Oz. Ed Oz, the manufacturer's rep. That's his building.
okay,
Is that correct?
do we know what he's planning to do?
Yeah, I think he wants to add on to his building. I think he wants to enlarge his building, if I'm not mistaken. Just do a quick check to
Isn't
see who
that
the
the-
ane is, but I think it's Ed
Isn't that the-
Oz, last name O-S.
That's not the Theru Construction Company?
No, that's because he's right next to the town hall, which is 10. I think that's Ed Oz. Yeah, there it is, Robert Oz,
Robert
his son's name. Yeah, that's the son's name.
I mean, I think they likely can do the project,
hmm
but might be an RDA at most. I
hmm
think it does depend on like the conditions between these two. Looks like there's a
Yeah.
driveway coming in here, so.
Yeah. If he wants to add to the northeast portion of that building, which I think that's what he wants to do, then
This
he's
way?
essentially removing the parking lot and putting a
That's
building
west.
in that location. Yeah.
Yeah.
North is
I mean, I
to
think
the-
we should probably do a site visit just in case there's any drainage issues
Mhm.
from this paved area into
Yeah.
this
Hey,
resource.
this is Ed.
Yes.
Give you some background on that. I did the survey for that property and I did some of the work for that, so I'm gonna recuse myself on anything, but I can tell you that the building is already in the process of being built. He went for his permits last year through the planning board. He went through his site plan review process. He did the storm calcs. Everything was approved through the planning board. I don't know why it's coming up now. At this point, the foundation's already there. Half the building's already up.
It's
Oh,
like the horses left the barn about a year ago.
I'm not really sure how this is coming about, but I can tell you the building was placed on existing pavement that was there.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look to the south, that long driveway is basically just a dirt road, if you will, maybe some hard
Okay.
pack here and there.
They
Further to
built
the west.
They built a 4-foot frost wall. They excavated for a frost wall, correct?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It
All
does
right.
have drainage all there, but again, I don't know why it's coming up now. It's already been built. Half of it's done.
Actually, if you think about it, there's probably very little increase in impervious because it was already impervious due to the pavement. Now it's impervious due to the roof. So the only little bit of that grassy area is probably filled in.
Yeah, but that's not the concern. The concern is, are they doing work within areas subject to protection? And did they properly do the work so as not to impact resource areas?
Yeah, but the point is,
So,
also under our regulation, we've got the stormwater regs, which they would be subject to as well.
yeah, but that's not under us. That was planning, right?
Well, actually, it is under us. If you look in 310 CMR 1005,
Oh.
the stormwater section, we do carry jurisdiction of that if and only if they're within 100 feet of a resource area, which they are. So we actually carry responsibility on the stormwater end for this project.
So what do you want to do now?
Well, we can't do anything. The horse is 2 miles down the road.
right.
Okay,
Well,
so
he
at
did
this
follow his
point,
permit, so
Currently, in other words, the stormwater calcs that they presented to get this approved by the building department or the planning board, they're using the same, because they have to be controlling their stormwater anyway.
That's right.
So
yeah, so
they're working within the existing design.
Well, no, but if you look at it, they're essentially transferring a roof runoff from pavement
to a road.
runoff.
Yeah.
The delta runoff is essentially zero for this
Essentially
project.
the
So
same, right?
yeah, it was
right.
very, very straightforward. If they were changing grass to roof, then that's an increase in impervious. But essentially, they're going from impervious pavement to impervious roof.
Right.
So it's
Which is the
essentially a
same
wash.
thing, probably. Yeah.
but you don't know about their roof drainage or anything else on the site. So that's what you would look at in this type of project to make sure that they're not increasing the velocity of flows, increasing the volume of flows, or doing anything of that nature. Or like
that's
directing
right.
it into a more point source fashion. So like that's why we should do a site visit and they should file an after the fact RDA. And, hopefully it all looks good and we can be like, in the future, you need to come to us, but we can, do an after the fact because you meet all the standards for an RDA buffer zone project and you're not impacting.
The interesting thing is if he were not near a wetland, then it's totally controlled by the planning board stormwater people. But since he's within 100 feet of that resource area, he has to go through planning and the commission on the front end. And for some reason, they never did that. Here's the question. How did they get a building permit for this project without coming to the commission a year ago?
The first time.
do you want me to reiterate on some of this, Bill? Want me to give you some background history again? I'm gonna recuse myself on any- This originally, you look at the building, it's a funny shape. The gabled end is kind of.
It's half the building. It's half the building, of course.
So back in the 90s, mid 90s to late 90s, they went ahead and built half the building with the intention of building the other half sometime in the near future.
Yep.
So plans were already filed with the planning board showing that building as being one complete building. Well, he attempted to do that and build out the rest of the site plan from the 90s, which kind of got kiboshed because the fire code changed. So the square footage basically took that other half of the building and quartered it. So the increase in the building from the 90s site plan was changed because of the fire code.
Yeah, the fire code was 7,500 square feet. So you're telling me that half building is
He was grandfathered on the other half. They let that go, I guess.
oh yeah, because if it's over 7,500 square feet, then they need fire suppression system.
Correct.
All right.
So that was kind of, so the logic was that if you kept the addition under a certain square footage, I don't know what the square footage was. That's between the builder and the.
Yeah, it was 70. Okay. So the question is Ed Oz still alive, or is he deceased and the son's running the business now?
As far as I know, is Rob is running the business. I don't know Mr. Oz or Ed Oz.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was the original developer. Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense then, Ed. Thank you for the explanation.
Also, I don't know if you know this, Ed, but are these little squares catch basins?
Correct. Those are two catch basins. They're dry wells. They're not connected
Oh,
to
they are.
anything.
Awesome.
There are no outlets.
Yeah, that would have been the concern.
So those are leachers. Those are pure leachers. Ed, is that circular area, roughly circular, is that of lower elevation? Is that a little detention basin?
It is. It's the same elevation.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's all the same elevation. It might be a little higher.
Okay.
But it's all basically flat in there.
Yeah. But you can see, folks, this project kind of went under our radar, and I'm embarrassed because of that, frankly.
Also, another thing to remember with the Wetlands Protection Act and stormwater, if a project does impact a resource area and that project area is outside of our jurisdiction, that entire project area becomes our jurisdiction when it, has impact. So like if it's in a way upland area and it washes out silts into the storm drain and then gets into the stream, you track it right back. Now that whole area is jurisdictional.
That's right. That's correct. That's
so
correct.
That was kind of why I was looking at the storm drains as well, and
Yeah.
kind of curious about that, because if there was an outfall already discharging, then we might want to kind of look into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Janice,
Great
you
that
ran
they're
into
leaching.
some of that in Shutesbury on this big solar project, haven't you?
Well, we're still in the early stages on the solar projects. One of them, yes, did run into that problem. It was the runoff was from way uphill, but it comes down into a detention basin and discharges into a wetland. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Unless and until it reaches a wetland,
Yes.
Right.
they're good.
Right. That's the problem.
So what do you want to do now? Do you want me to contact them? What do you want to say, or what?
I mean, could we contact them and ask to set up a site visit, and tell them that they need to file an RDA or an after the fact RDA? Something like that. What do you guys think?
Ed, is the building been erected at this point?
Yes. Yeah, it's basically already built. It's covered. The sheathing's on it. The storm water is probably being, I don't know if he put it in yet or if he's going to do it in the spring because of the winter hit. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I've driven by it. I just seen the exterior shell being put up.
Yeah. Okay.
What are they doing for stormwater? More leaching catch basins, or
you know where those two dry well catch basins are up front. He's taking the roof leaders for the new addition. The new addition's running north towards 202. In that grassy area beyond the parking lot, he's putting a bunch of Storm Tech, I think 710 chambers.
Oh, the big ones. Okay.
Big ones.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the Coltex, Storm Techs. Yeah, the infiltrators. I think it's a double, two layers, quite a bit of stone. It's pretty elaborate for just that little addition.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
So it's.
But again, that sounds great. It sounds like an
Yeah.
easy determination of applicability that we could have issued
Yeah.
as a
As,
negative.
Well, I'm sure,
as,
yeah,
as
but I'm
long
sure
as he's
that,
got, as long as he's got 2 feet of separation between the bottom of the chambers and the water table.
I think he does. And that area was the old septic system. That
Okay.
septic system, the original septic was further towards 202,
Yeah,
but generally speaking, the old septic system is in that area.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
So let it go or what?
I'm inclined to let this one go because nothing good can come out of this, frankly.
Mhm.
Yeah, for us
Why,
also.
why not? It's an easy enough thing for us to get approved so that they're in compliance. It's a violation.
Yeah, but if there's any change, if there's any changes, then it becomes problematic because it's already been built.
What changes? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if we find there's something that doesn't meet the regulatory standards as far as stormwater or some work on the site, it just,
That's
again,
a
I
double
can't.
violation. So
Yeah,
you want to give them blanket immunity because they didn't get a permit?
What's, Amanda, what's the resource area?
BVW and Vernal Pools. Lots of Vernal Pools.
Located to
There's a
the
bunch of
west,
them.
to the west, correct?
To the
To the south.
southwest, I
Southwest.
guess.
Oh.
There is also riverfront, but I think the riverfront's probably a little ways out.
The town hall is.
That's Stony Brook. Yeah, that's too
Yeah,
far.
so,
It's Stony
so
Brook.
so the wetland that's located to the west of the building across that driveway, that one there, is that isolated? That's isolated.
No.
That's not regulated by us.
It's not isolated, and it's Vernal Pools.
What does it show up on the,
Honestly, I do not think that it's isolated because it's got at least 2, and I bet it connects into this. You can't claim that it's isolated looking at this map.
See, the problem is we have no certified vernal pools in town. That's the problem.
There's one right here.
well,
This
see,
is a certified
I
vernal
mean,
pool.
I'm gonna recuse myself, but those, those wetlands that you're pointing out are on other people's property. So as the commission, you're gonna have to get permission to get on those properties. I'm sure Ed Oz or
I'm not saying
Rob
that we
Oz
go out onto that property at all.
Sure.
Whoa.
Call him. I'll call Rob tomorrow and let him know if you guys want to walk the site. Go ahead. I don't think there's an issue.
It's just, I don't know why we would not just do the procedure and
But-
have everyone be treated the same. If it's a permittable
Again-
project, you just do after the fact permit so that they know in the future they need to come to us.
Yeah, again, this should have been done a year and a half ago.
I guess
Well,
Doesn't mean we wouldn't do it now.
I'd be more interested in how did we get to this position?
That's
and
right,
trying
Dave.
to try to add any inconvenience on the owner. That's the part
That's
I'm
right.
having a challenge with, Amanda. You're asking the owner to jump through some hoops that there's absolutely no benefit to. He's not coming back. This owner may not come back to do anything more on that site. As Ed is saying, you're maxing out the property right now, right? Without adding a fire pump with the sprinkler system and the whole 9 yards, he can't do much more with this property.
Yeah, let's
That's
look
not
at it this
true.
way.
He could do anything.
Say we find there's a violation and we issue an enforcement order. How do you do an enforcement order on this sort of project at this point?
Because he's
What do you
got what he
mean?
wants.
Yeah, he's got what he wants. He's got his building permit in hand. The building's
The enforcement
constructed.
order is to get a permit. He did it without a permit. That's the whole thing.
Oh, boy.
No,
And
I
it's
think
a
he
free
has the
permit. I don't understand why you think it's hurdles. The person should know that he has jurisdictional area and that work requires permitting, but we're not going to hold him up and we're going to take care of it with an after the fact permit, which is free to him and brings his property into compliance. I don't understand why that's such a
Ed, when did he get his building permit?
He's got his permit.
Well, sure. He applied probably the end of 2019, and then the COVID hit, and Lenny Laser from USA Builders was going through this process. And it
Right.
literally took him over a year to get before the planning board. And when he did get before the planning board, there was a couple of reiterations that the board had asked for, and we complied and gave them everything they wanted. And I want to say it was just approved last spring, is my recollection. I don't know.
Because we routinely get swimming pools, decks, little miscellaneous things on homes filtered through us by the building department for review. And this is kind of a major project, and we didn't get any paperwork on this. And I think that's what Dave's alluding to. I can't believe this skirted under the radar on us.
I want to say that I believe it was notified to you guys under the notifications from site plan, from planning board. Again, this goes back to the 1990s when the project started in the 90s, and I think the planning board kind of looked at it, well, it was a pre-approved project that we've toned down.
Is it possible he had a building permit from years ago that they honored?
He had a site plan filed with them a long time ago. Again, it was probably a site plan that was done by like a general contractor. It wasn't a very well detailed site plan, if you will. Again, you got to consider it's 1990.
Yeah. So, but the point is, so if they filed this in the 90s, they probably had a wetland permit at that time.
I don't know.
Which only lasts 3 years.
Well, I agree. Yeah, but again,
If it was.
Traditionally, we issue COCs for projects that are up to 30 years old. Janice, could you research this to see if they had a wetland permit from years ago? This is going to be a tough one for you.
Okay, be another challenge down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is they probably had an NOI from back in the 90s, and they probably had the whole building called out on the NOI, and they only did half the project, and now they're completing the second half of the project, and they think that their NOI from 25 years ago is still valid. And Amanda rightfully said it's not valid.
I don't recall seeing that in the certificate of title. This is a land registration. And then the encumbrances usually list all the issues, if you will, easements, orders of conditions, municipal liens. I don't recall seeing that in the deed, if you will, but I can check again.
Okay. Yeah, let's research this a little bit before we jump on this one.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
I don't mind sending you the site plan, but I would rather ask the builder. I don't see any issues. There's nothing that's being hidden on this. And the building inspector issued a letter. I've got the letter here. Back on June 28th, 2021. The planning board issued a letter to Greg Briggs saying, after review of 8 West State Street site plan, the planning board agreed an additional site plan review is not necessary for the proposed building additions.
Okay, so that means there was a site plan review performed years and years ago.
Correct. And I think that's what they're basing it on, and that seeing how it was reduced in size, that they were kind of being a little more agreeable. And again, that went back to the fire code.
And I bet you there must have been an old wetland permit that was issued with this years and years ago as well.
I could take another look.
In fact, it's funny. I remember when I was on the Board of Health, I think I reviewed the septic system on this project back in the 90s, now that I think of it.
Huh. Okay.
Yep, I remember that now. I remember Bob Sheehan designed the septic system on this. So there's a good chance there was a wetland permit issued back in the 90s. But again, Janice, maybe you can scour the files for this one.
And if Ed can't find it, does that mean they never recorded it?
Who the hell?
He's looking at the registry
that
right
happens
now.
a lot too, doesn't it? That happens a lot too.
It does.
What's that?
But again, that's why the RDA process in Granby is so easy. Like, he just needs to submit a plan to us so that we can all just be on the same page and make sure that everyone knows this should have been permitted. Otherwise, 20 years from now, they're going to flip this and subdivide it into 5 houses, and they're going to be like, we didn't need a permit before. Why do we need a permit now?
Yeah, no,
Like
that's a good
that's the
point.
problem that happens. You set a precedent, and then people think
Yeah, I hear you.
they're not subject. And I don't want to make it a hurdle for the applicant. I want to make it as simple as possible so that they know they can come to us. That's why I'm
But
like, just have them send it after the fact RDA. It slipped through the cracks. It was a mistake. We take a look. We don't see issues. It could have been filed under an RDA, and why not just do it after the fact? That's what DEP always recommends. Because I've had to deal with so many of these violations due to the building department not telling people.
Yeah.
Or
What-
intentionally telling them not to go to conservation because we'll make them jump through hoops.
Yeah, listen, it's 8:46. I recommend we table this till next month. In the meantime, Janice can do a little bit of investigative work, and we can revisit this for a possible RDA submittal. But let's let Janice do some paperwork review on this project.
Okay.
That's my thought, whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, it's fine. I'm just one person.
No. Very well taken. But let's do a little bit of research, because again, this thing just jumped at us 10 minutes ago, and we got to kind of do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
No, I just looked at the encumbrances on the certificate of title. It does not list any order of conditions.
Okay, but again, there may have one been issued and it was never sent to the registry of deeds, and what else is new?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Up the all end.
Or it could
Okay,
have just
fair-
been
Fair
something,
enough.
you know.
Okay.
Anyways, next one, annual report 2021.
So I'm going to work on that, and I may get Dave to help with some parts if I need some help with that.
Thank you, Janice.
Site visit determinations.
I'm not sure what that means.
No, any new site visits, I think, right?
Oh,
Is that what that means?
Well, or either that, or is that like Taylor Street Pond? Is that where we talk about that?
Oh, well, we could.
sure.
Does everybody have a copy of that in front of them?
I saw that, Dave. Thank you for doing the cross section.
Yes, thanks. That was
I
good.
guess the question was, it's a discussion point now. We went, Janice and I, Bill was there too, driving around the street trying to find where the driveway was. But there's an old farm pond behind this person's house on 175. And it is a strange piece of property. I don't know if somebody who's in control of the screen can go over there right now.
I'm working on it. See what I can
It's
do.
a property where the pond has a property line going around one side of it. So the person that owns the pond is actually Randall's Tree Farm. And the type of structure that they use to contain the water is an earthen dam along the south border. And instead of a normal spillway that you would think of where there'd be a dam and the water runs over the top of it, this is actually a pipe that is secured to the base, and it has a horizontal open mouth at the top, at the level of the pond that's prescribed. And then the water would flow into this pipe, and then through the pipe go through a culvert and exit underneath the dam into a wetland that is south of the dam. What the owner of the pond has done, we're told, because we can't see anything, everything's frozen and snow covered. He took a piece of plywood to cover the top of the spillway inlet, and now water has risen. It's still migrating underneath it's not a watertight cap, so the water is still seeping underneath the cap. But that being said, the pond has now risen 3 feet, 2-3 feet. They were not specific. But the problem is the pond now has a greater surface area, and it's covering this neighbor's property. So, and
Which part of what's the
if
neighbor?
the neighbor is to the right, and that's at Randall's Tree Farm.
To the left. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry.
Oh, this one?
No, that side.
Am I in
That's
the right area?
Randall's Tree. Yeah, that's the right side, and that's the owner of the pond. And
Okay.
the property line for the two properties is actually on the west side or the left side of this blue dot. And that's 175 Taylor Street on that side.
Okay,
And the water is flooding that property over there.
this one.
Dave,
That's
Dave,
right.
I've got a couple questions for Dave and Janice, because you guys are on site. The drop inlet, what is the approximate diameter of the drop inlet?
No, and that, the only information I got is what I transferred on that sketch. There was no information regarding specifics or specifications.
Okay. Yeah, because those drop inlets are I've worked on some of those doing dam inspections in the past.
Right.
And you got to be really careful with drop inlets because they're prone to clogging. Think about it. If you have a couple of branches that go in there, they could actually plug that pipe up very, very easily. So they're kind of sketchy structures. Let's put it that way.
We're told that he actually put the cover on the inlet this past summer prior to the heavy rains in July. So
okay, so he was probably hoping to capture some water for one reason or another then.
Right.
Okay. Right. Now here's the question. The last time we were called out there about 5 or 6 years ago, and again, I went through some minutes before tonight's meeting. I couldn't find anything, but I recall I was there. I think Casey was there. I think Dave Washburn was there at the time, a former member. And there was a complaint, I guess, filed by Randall himself over another party. I think it was a fellow named Quill, Quill, who was doing earthwork on the embankment at the time. And we asked him to cease and desist. And I think he complied with our wishes. But my understanding that Randall is a tree farmer, and I think he garners more than the $500 obligatory minimum revenue from sale of forest products. So I think technically he's a farmer. So he'd be subject to the agricultural reg, of which I sent out a little blurb on farm ponds earlier this afternoon. So that's my feeling on it. I think he's operating as a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that simple though. He has to prove that he qualifies for an agricultural exemption. And it's more than just saying that he makes $500 a year.
Well, I think he's probably got the 5 acre minimum. He sells products which are consistent with 1004. And again, my guess is, and again, unless we want to get into this legal interviewing deposition process with these folks, he's probably capturing the water to save the water to use for irrigation for his trees at some point in time. Now, the question is, why does he have the plywood on the outlet at this time of year? I don't know. But again, I don't know how far you guys want to push this one.
And again, I'm an architect. Based on my background, to me, this sounded more of a civil case than a wetlands case. Now, Janice, you did offer an opinion that said that the Wetlands Protection Act can get involved if he's reducing the flow of water into the downstream wetland that would negatively affect that wetland. Now, of course, when we were there, water was running out of the creek or out from underneath the dam. So, and I don't know how much water, like the owner's rep was there saying, oh, well, there would be a lot of water flowing at this time of year. And I'm like, well, that's his opinion. And there was nobody else there to say.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no way to verify how much of a difference. And in some of this, it's like, you have to wait until there's an impact and then you can do a violation notice. At this point, I think it could be an issue, but hadn't thought about the agricultural exemption part, and he probably would qualify for that. And they'd have to be able to show a clear impact to the wetlands, either along the edge of the pond or down below, where I think if there was anything, if he keeps that cover on, by summer, perhaps it would be drying up that stream. And that stream is listed as a perennial stream, I believe, on the topo as well, starting at the pond. but that's going to just take time to be able to prove.
Yeah, this is a tough little case, but I agree with David. I think this is this is what they call a water trespass case. I've served as an expert witness on a number of these over the years, and it's best to let the lawyers and the court system hash these things out.
What do you think, Amanda? I see you ruffling through Framingham.
Well, this is my cheat sheet. I keep memos and cheat sheets on past cases. So I have thoroughly reviewed all of the agricultural stuff and all the details I can get, and kind of the manual on identifying it. And while I think that there's a chance that they do qualify for the agricultural exemption, I also know that farmers are often ignored for all of the things they do because there is an assumption that they can do whatever they want because of this agricultural exemption. But it's not just a blanket do what you want. Like, there are very specific details and multiple kind of phases of things that they have to kind of qualify for in order for the work to be considered exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act and the agricultural provisions. And so, we don't necessarily have the resources to dive down that rabbit hole. But if the aggrieved party would like their lawyers to look into that, I think it's something that is worth, poking to see if they actually are working under an agricultural exemption or if they just think they are.
Dave, what the folks that you interviewed on site, what was their alleged damages? What damages are they suffering?
The damages that they described to us was they like to keep the land clear and clean. And this past summer, they've not been able to clear the water line edge because of the increased water, I guess. So there's also, to me, that would be wetland brush, Janice.
Yeah.
You technically can't clear it, but it's
unless you're grandfathered in.
It's naturalizing itself now, and obviously you could see the pond very clearly, but in the summer months when that vegetation is fully in bloom, it would be buried. It would be behind a pretty thick bush. So their complaint was the bushes, and there are turtles and snakes and frogs. Everybody, it sounded like there was an arm.
There's no monetary damages. There's no monetary damages that I can see being suffered.
No, other than them running over snakes. So
yeah, okay. It's like if they had a building.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, the turtles probably love it.
If they had a building and the foundation started settling due to the elevated water, that's one thing. If they had a leach field that was flooded out due to the elevated water, that's another thing. No. But I can't really see any concrete evidence of monetary damages here. So even if they do go to court, which they probably won't, but even if they do, it's going to be a tough case for their lawyer to prove.
Yeah, it actually will, because there's no construction around this particular pond, and even the flooded area isn't close to anything. So, and if anything, it's flooding wetlands, and
that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, I have a feeling it's just wetlands they've been mowing and trying to keep
and it's probably, and I think you're right.
It's just wetter. It was a wetter year too. So wetlands move and change. People don't like change.
That's right.
They wanted to look and stay the same forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, there's some antagonism also between the neighbors, and that's adding to the grief, I think. So,
of course,
and whoever drew the property lines, it's the sloppiest property line division I've ever seen. So it's just fraught for argument, if you will.
Yeah, like you say, Randall brought the commission out here 7 or 8 years ago, alleging some other guy did something bad, and now someone else is pointing the finger. So it's just a bunch of finger pointing out there.
Unfortunately.
So it probably was this neighbor, right? Was it this neighbor that was working on the embankment on their side?
No, it was her neighbor, and the way it was presented to us is they were cleaning old appliances and cars, and basically it was a farmer's trash yard where instead of depositing things properly, they just threw them out in the field. And this was what they were looking at. So that when they bought the house, they started cleaning up the property. But of course, they didn't come to the Conservation Commission. They just went and started clearing it. And Mr. Randall took exception to that, and he called the Conservation Commission. And we were told that the owner had to pay a lawyer $10,000 or $12,000 to do nothing.
To do the paperwork. Yeah.
To do the paperwork. So I don't know how much he paid, but that's the way it was presented to us. They were just trying to improve, and the way they pointed to us, they pointed to the wetlands as disgusting in the way it looked, and we both looked at the wetlands as it looks very nice. It's soft.
Yeah.
The eye of the beholder. Eye of the beholder. Great.
Yeah. Like, I bet if you left that alone, it would all be blueberries.
If
I think that's what Granby was. I think it was just blueberries everywhere.
So anyway, how would we respond though? I did say we would be coming back and discussing this. So what would be our formal recommendation? That I think Janice, if you would be so kind to write a letter to them, but we need to formulate an opinion here on in a somewhat professional manner.
Yeah.
I would write a letter, Janice. Again, we got to be careful how we write this. I think the outcome's going to be this is a civil matter, but we have to put a reasonable argument together as to why it's a civil matter.
Do you want to try to do that, Bill? Do you feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I can. Let me do a first draft. I'll have something ready by the first of the month. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, great.
And the pond has been in existence since before the Wetlands Protection Act.
Right.
So it's harder to break something that someone's family has been maintaining a certain way throughout the history of them owning the land.
That's right.
And so it's kind of like they're just doing their normal stuff.
Randall may say, I've been, and my father has been putting this piece of plywood here for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So again, we only have a snapshot in time. We can't go backwards in time on this project. That's the problem.
We don't have proof. Yeah.
And there's a lot of, this year it's been very wet. So you have an extraordinary amount of water that it captured, and the pond is bigger than it was. It's bigger than it usually is.
Right. And you got to remember, last spring was extremely dry. So maybe he's thinking, gee, I should increase the volume of this pond while we can make hay, because I might need this water in July.
Because we were told that he put the plywood there in June. So it hadn't started raining yet, if we remember back then. I mean, it was raining, but not to the extent. The major rainfalls came in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and so how do they know that there's plywood on it still? Do they know?
Well, they told us it is, Amanda, but of course we can't see it because it's got ice on top of it now. They did take a stick and they threw it out onto the pond to show us about the proximate location of where the infall structure is located, but it's below the water line at this point.
And so is this like a berm?
It's an earthen dam.
Yeah, it's an earth dam.
Yeah.
And half of it belongs to the 175 Taylor Street people, and the other half belongs to Mr. Randall.
Yeah. Dave, could you see
person on a smidge?
Yes.
Dave, could you see an emergency spillway on this, or they just have the drop inlet, no other spillway at a higher elevation?
There was no apparent spillway at the top. That is one of the things. It was the daughter and son-in-law of Georgette, who owns the property, who was speaking with us. And one of their concerns was that the pond could get so high that it would breach the earthen dam and cause a catastrophic failure of the dam that would then endanger Taylor Street, which is downhill from here. But
that was actually something I was thinking about too. That tends to be the biggest concern.
The water line is at least 4 to 5 feet below the top of the dam at this point.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's got it's going to get a lot bigger before it ever breaches the dam.
Lot of liability. Owning a dam and impoundment is a high liability business. So when you buy land, never buy a dam with an impoundment.
Yeah.
No, there was no overflow structure,
No.
emergency release, nothing like that. At least we couldn't see it under the snow, but they
Right.
did. I think they would have pointed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And as you can see, this dam's not on the radar. This is a non-coded dam through DCR, so it's not on the
Right.
radar.
Yeah.
It's
And the
way in
drainage area isn't that big.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Amanda?
The drainage area for the site, while I thought it looked massive, it's kind of the wetland goes both ways.
Right.
So it's like has a high point up in here somewhere.
Oh.
Right.
Anyways, I did stream stats, and it is only 0.16 square miles per drainage area,
Oh, all
Okay.
right.
which I find after looking at the map, I was like, what? But yeah, so that's what stream stats tells me.
Okay, very good.
It eventually
don't know
flows
if
into
it's
Muddy
worth-
Brook.
Yes, it does.
No.
I am curious to check in with Mr. Randall and just see if he could, tell us that he hasn't just forgotten about the plywood and that we've had complaints and concerns about breaching the dam, and just get his response.
You're probably
Just because
getting
that is the only concern that I think could have damaging effects to other people. Like it could blow out this little culvert here. I'm guessing
Right.
it's probably a small, undersized culvert, as they typically are. Like people worry about that with beaver dams all the time.
right.
So that's the only plausible explanation. And it would be nice to have something from him kind of explaining his rationale.
No, that
I mean, I imagine it's for his trees and for, pumping water.
That's a plausible argument. That's the most logical argument for irrigation.
Yeah,
for
I don't know why
trees
else
and
he would do it. And so
Right.
I feel like it would help justify our stance that, we don't see any negative impacts to the resource areas.
stuff. Right.
And he appears to be working under the agricultural exemptions. I don't know. Depends on how far we want to dive down into the civil stuff.
Yeah.
Versus doing our due diligence.
Let me craft a letter first. Let's see how the letter goes, and then we can decide next
I
meeting.
think
But
quite honestly, I think the project, this whole complaint would die if we can politically correct, I should say, so we don't hurt anybody's feelings, but give them guidance. I think we led them to the belief that it was hard for me anyway, to see what the violation was. Now, especially with what you did bring up at the meeting, Janice, that the only way you saw would be if there wasn't enough water going downstream to protect
Right.
that wetland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That would take a long time though.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's difficult to quantify.
Yeah. So there's kind of the two sides of like drying out the wetland below and expanding the wetland above the dam,
that's
as
right.
well as breaching if the dam was to breach. And I would imagine that Mr. Randall would be aware of those, well, at least the breaching part. I would imagine he would have that on his radar as something he would not want to happen. And likely they've been doing this for years. And but yeah, we'd probably have to look at it.
If the dam
This is the age-old problem that the Bureau of Reclamation have gone through in the United States for the past 100 years, is when you build an artificial impoundment, you really change habitat, you change water usage, you flood people out on the high side, and you dry things out on the low side. This is the classic argument why it's really perilous to build these impoundments.
And if this impoundment's been here for 100 years, say, I don't know, But if he loses it, if it were to be breached and get damaged so it couldn't hold water, wouldn't the commission would they allow him even to repair it and put it back?
He would just need a permit.
That's a good, but
Let's
let's go back 2 years. Remember the Quentinville Pond up off of 116? Janice, you know that area.
Yes,
from
I
South.
do. Yep.
They had a problem with one of the spillways on that dam, and actually it fractured, released all the water out of the impoundment. DEP and DCR concluded they'd have to file for massive permits to do a repair on that. The guy didn't have any money. So right now it's a beautiful wetland out there. No water at all. It's just a wetland.
But he could do the permits if he had the money.
Oh, if
So
you had
it's
the
not
money.
that it can't be done. It's just
Right.
that they make it very hard because we don't want these things. It's better if
Right.
there isn't a dam that
Right.
could breach.
My guess
Especially
is this
in
one,
these kind
if
of
this
dams.
truly classified as a farm pond, I think it would be a little easier to repair than a non-farm pond, a recreation.
If he is using
Right.
it, if it's
If
it's
it's
a
being used as a
functional
farm
farm
structure,
pond.
of course.
Yes. If he just
According-
likes it to give that farm aesthetic, that's harder to argue.
Right.
According to the
I can deal
landowner,
with it.
he's not using it for the trees. So
Well,
but that's-
again, we're
observation.
only seeing one side of the story, folks.
That's
So
right.
let's
right.
yeah.
But
only
the
one
other
side.
thing is that if the dam did break, it would probably not be Randall's property. It would probably be Quill, who owns the piece just below the dam.
Well,
on
Quill
the-
and English and English.
Yeah, they own 3/4 of the dam,
Right.
2/3, whatever. And that's where the stream goes through, where I would guess that probably it would burst there. So anyway, so it may not end up being on his property if there's a dam failure.
Yeah,
Again,
I think they need to figure out, they should talk to dam safety and figure out the legal stuff of who is
They're
legally
going
responsible
to talk
for
to
this.
their attorneys. Their attorneys will get this one ironed out. There's plenty of case law in these structures, believe me.
Uh-huh.
There's plenty of it.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
I
like the idea.
work-
I like the
I
idea of
worked on-
crafting a letter, Bill, and let's
Yeah, I
close
can
it
do
that way.
You know, I worked on a case on a dam like this in Munson about 10 years ago. We had 3 owners. Each person owned 1/3 of the spillway in the dam structure.
Ah.
That one was a messy case. What a messy case that was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
similar
so
to
I
this,
think-
but the boundaries were actually across the spillway. It was crazy. It was absolutely absurd. Yep. Okay. Enough of
All
that.
right,
Thank
so
you. I'll
I'll
drop something.
stop there.
Well, it's now 9:15.
Yes, so we're gonna speed through this. We discussed the site plan reviews for planning board, more or less. 81
Yes.
Pleasant, the guy already knows or should know that he needs to come back to us for something with a more complete plan when he has it. 39 West State Street, that was the 2 things, DEP for the spill stuff or other leakage pollution things. And then they were looking at doing what else?
Indoor expansion of some, or improvement of some kind.
Okay, is it completely internal or are they like enlarging the building?
No, it's totally internal. It's vacant area of the building that they want to improve.
Okay.
So they're not
That
going
might
outside.
be
They're
exempt.
not going outside the perimeter of the building.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Is that basically
Yeah.
exempt if it's internal? All right, great. 8
Yeah,
West
it
State Street, we're going to be doing some more digging.
Mhm.
So that sums up all our public meetings. Commentary, dumping leaves in wetlands. Is that still a talking point today?
It's sort of out of
should we
season
Want
at
to
this
discuss
point.
that, don't you?
All right. What?
I think Janice wants to opine on the leaves and wetlands issues.
I already did like 2 meetings ago.
Okay. So we're all
Okay.
set.
So the next one, I'll post the next meeting for Tuesday, February 8th at 7 p.m.
Yep.
online and in Carnegie Hall, if people want to go in person. Approve the minutes from our last meeting, or was it 2 meetings?
Just December. I
Last
think.
meeting is on
Just the
December
last meeting?
14. Yeah.
Okay. I have not finished reviewing them. Has anyone else reviewed them yet?
I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Do you want to wait till next time then, or what?
Yeah, let's wait till next time. That sounds good.
Okay, postpone.
Next one. Do we have
Yeah,
any
great.
bills to pay?
I
We
didn't get
probably
my
have
bill
bills
stuff
for
yet.
Janice.
I didn't
Oh, you
get time
didn't?
to do it. No,
Janice, did you get your checks yet from last time?
I only got September, so I've been paid for September and October. I haven't received anything for November yet.
Oh, okay, I forwarded that to Kathy and I forwarded Emily's bill as well. So those are in the works. I'll check on
Okay.
them again going forward. Thank you.
I think
Okay.
going forward, we also talked about when we approve, it seems, Bill, there were problems when we just carte blanche approve invoices without noting either a date or an amount of the invoice. Do we need
That's
to
right.
have, we
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah, we-
specific with our invoice approvals?
Yes.
We should modify our procedure to date of invoice, company or person we're paying, and the exact amount. That's important we do that. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Yep.
I just
we'll-
want to put it in the notes that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that way we can make sure that we have those details in the minutes.
Yep.
Financial accounts, quarterly updates. We'll skip that for now. No one's at the office. Outreach education plant of the week. I did have, and of course I just lost it.
Someone had Christmas fern.
Here it
Yes,
is.
I just put
The Christmas fern,
I
do a
love
quick
that.
one.
because it looks like a sleigh, right?
Yes, yep.
Looks
that's
like a what?
down there. The
It
little.
looks like a sleigh, but it's harder to tell here.
Yeah. Supposedly they do. It's
Oh.
bigger on the side. with
I've
Santa
seen it.
there. Yeah. Anyway, it's got beautiful fiddleheads. It's green all year round. New leaves come out in the spring, but you'll see it now throughout the winter. It's one of the winter ferns.
Can you eat
It'll
those
have like a little
fiddleheads?
bump right here.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
little.
It stays green all winter long, Janice? It doesn't go
Yes.
dormant?
Nope.
It's
Yeah,
evergreen.
if you're out in the woods in the snow, it's actually very beautiful. Can you eat those fiddleheads? Or are they?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I was in a wetland yesterday walking through, and there's quite a bit of Christmas fern mixed in there. Maybe it's on slightly higher ground. It's not a wetland indicator, but you will find it. Like it says there, generalist. It goes almost anywhere, so you will find it a lot around this time
And it's
of
a
year.
fun landscape plant because of that evergreen effect.
Yeah. Yes.
You can enjoy it all year round.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything else on that one? Or on to the next?
Okay.
On
Next.
to the next. News and announcements. Anyone have anything new?
Somewhere in here, I want to put in the Kestrel Trust letter of support for the Robert Frost Trail, wherever you think that fits
Let's
in.
do that one. Yeah, let's do that one now.
Okay.
I support the Robert Frost Trail. Do we need to vote on something?
Yeah, let's just vote on it, Amanda.
I vote to support letter, to sign off on this support letter for the Robert Frost Trail.
Dave will second it.
Okay.
Any
Discussion?
further discussion?
Bill, are you going to write a little something in, like they suggest personalizing it, even if it's just a sentence or two about, Granby's interest, experience, whatever, with the Robert Frost Trail? You could leave it out.
Is this trail up by the notch?
Yes. Yes. It
Okay,
basically
I
runs
can do
along
that.
the ridge.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can do that, Janice. I'll put a couple of blurbs in there and you can review my.
Okay, and there's a map that I believe I included with it, and if I didn't, I'll send it to you, that they sent to me that shows the trail
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
on the map. Okay.
You might have sent it and I might not have downloaded it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've probably walked this trail many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've seen it too. I've definitely seen the Metacomet Trail. I just don't know if I saw it in Granby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
some
Janice
places,
is
I
gonna
think it
walk,
overlaps.
Janice, you're gonna walk the Dufresne trails, aren't you now?
Maybe if you think they're worth looking at. I want to do the Taylor
Oh,
Street
they are.
area. Oh yeah, okay. I thought they were just
Yeah.
dog
Oh,
walks.
we
You
should
know,
do
I'm
a
not into
site
dog.
visit and do a walk through the woods.
That's what we should do. We should have a walk, let's say the date to do that. We'll all do like a 4-mile hike on the trail. It'd be great fun.
Okay,
I
4
don't
miles
think
depending
Dufresne
on
is
the
4
cold.
miles. Okay.
Bring your walking
Next
shoes.
item. So Bill is going to work on the letter
Yes,
for Kestrel.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
And all in favor? Aye. All right, great.
Okay,
Site visits to
good.
be scheduled. Well, we have a tentative plan to do a Dufresne's walk at some point.
Okay.
And then gravel pit site inspections, we're done with that.
Yep.
Dealing with small wetland violations.
That was another thing
Is
from
that
before. And I
okay?
don't know exactly what we're going to do. That gets into Phillips Circle and some of those other places. And how do you deal with it, you know, in a broad
Yeah,
way? And I think we can probably wait till spring at this point.
yeah. I mean, it would be nice if we could do a generic trails and invasive species management permit. There's one in Framingham that I found very helpful because then people can just, there's an appendix document and you just send in a notice of work basically, and anyone can submit that document and use that permit to do work on their own property if there are resource areas.
Really?
And it has like guidance for how to, manage invasives, time of year, methods, and different things like that. So that might be one thing that we could look at. And it might help with some of the violation stuff if there's an easier way for people to get permits for little things they might do.
I just wonder how you control people. You know that they're looking at the right plants and that they're not just doing their whole backyard rather than just a trail.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you got to kind of see if you can meet with them on site, but I guess that might be a little more intensive than we can
I
handle.
think that's what you'd have to do is you'd have to at least do a site visit so you can walk it and you can see what they're complaining they're going to do and just point out like, okay, no, you don't take that. You may not like it, the grapes, but they're a native, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah. But even in the notice thing, you can still request to do other stuff as long as you have a plan and rationale. Like if they've strangled out all of your good stuff and the whole understory is bad stuff, things like sometimes, there can be a reasonable plan.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways, I think that's all the main stuff for tonight. Anyone have anything else?
I just wanted to say, well done, folks. We had a couple tricky little topics tonight, and I think we did a pretty good job digesting them. So let's keep up the good work.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right.
I move to adjourn at 9:23.
9:23, okay.